Why the cachet of the WNBA elevates? Remember, it could have been even better. You messed it up.
It's possible that Caitlin Clark's European offer may permanently alter the WNBA.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
The likelihood of Caitlin Clark moving to Europe is increasing, and the WNBA is rushing. Perhaps you ought to have considered showing a little more deference to your big star. Caitlin is going to seriously damage the WNBA now. Who really is going to keep watching without CCI?
She will do her best. I know she's talented, but she's not strong enough, and she doesn't have enough experience right now to compete at
Caitlin has to deal with these individuals throughout the season at this level. You're inexperienced. The WNBA won't be handled by you. Take a look at what transpired. She left the WNBA in disarray after storming her way through broken records like there was no future.
Nonsense about things that Caitlin was doing wrong when, in my personal opinion, she was doing nothing but going out there and playing great basketball every night and ignoring the hate that was coming to her from all sides, not only
These analysts didn't give Caitlin an option. The persistent fouling and hostility directed at her are sufficient. They need a new beginning in a league that genuinely values its best players and prevents them from being singled out.
And look at what the NBA became. Even when Jordan was ascending and the league clearly saw that that was the dude, and Nike was marketing the living hell out of Michael Jordan. I want to be like Mike. It was still bird and match.
According to reports, Caitlin Clark has received an incredible contract offer to play in Europe. She also appears to be prepared to make the leap. There is more to the story, though. Caitlin has had enough of the WNBA's treatment of her, and she is ultimately deciding to quit the league after facing many frustrations. Her departure could have a profound impact on the WNBA, sending shockwaves through the organization. Even with all of the attention, fan appreciation, and her indisputable influence on the game, Caitlin Clark has had many difficulties in the WNBA. She has dealt with everything from the league's inability to adequately protect its best players to the absence of adequate support on the floor. These difficulties have now resulted in what may be among the most startling job choices we have ever witnessed. Caitlin Clark's decision to move to Europe and leave the WNBA. But let's face it, Caitlin Clark hasn't always received the consideration and respect that a celebrity of her stature merits from the WNBA. We've seen opposing players get away with using excessive physicality when guarding Clark, who frequently crosses the line with aggressive, occasionally dangerous play. Whether it's the lack of protection on the court, the persistent targeting by other players, or the apparent lack of interest from the league itself, it's obvious that Clark has had enough. It appears as though the league has permitted these strategies to go unchallenged.
You weren't making a basketball argument. You weren't making a
We're
basketball
not
argument.
saying we were
No, Andrea, I'm not going to let you do that.
Go ahead,
Andrea, I'm not going to let you make it seem like Caitlin Clark was averaging 5 points a game. At the time, she was still averaging 16 points a game, which was more than a lot of other guards that made the team. So don't do that. Don't make it seem like she was averaging 5 points and this was like a handout.
No, it wasn't a handout.
Look at her numbers. Look at her numbers comparable to the other guards that were on the team. That's all I'm saying.
One could even contend that the WNBA has permitted this conduct to go on as they are aware that Clark's appearance on the court attracts attention and increases viewing. After all, a little drama sparks conversation. However, Caitlin feels that it has gone too far. She has come to the conclusion that the lack of protection is no longer worth it. Caitlin has made no secret of her displeasure with the way the league and other players have handled her. Fans have taken note. Numerous complaints from her fans have been posted on 2 social media sites, urging greater safety, equity, and regard for their beloved athlete. However, despite the outrage, not much has changed, and Clark feels nearly abandoned by the league's seeming apathy, as though they didn't care enough to make the required changes.
People are watching women's basketball right now. Yeah. It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize.
Finally, after being unfairly singled out and mistreated for season after season, Caitlin Clark is paying attention to her followers. She has decided to take charge of her career by leaving the WNBA since she has had enough of the league's lack of interest. Clark is looking for a new chapter in which her extraordinary talent, commitment, and influence on the game will be properly recognized, as they ought to have been from the beginning. Let's now discuss the consequences. The WNBA is about to see a significant decline. And the reason for this is that they were unable to appreciate how important Caitlin Clark was to the league's success. The WNBA will immediately experience a decline in revenue and viewership with Clark on it. Things is not necessary to sugarcoat things. The league was quite interested in Caitlin Clark. People watched her every time she took the court. Caitlin Clark was the reason they watched, regardless of whether they were diehard basketball fanatics or just casual spectators.
Fact that she was getting all of that, yet all of these eyeballs were coming to the league because of her. The Indiana Fever was turning away games into home.
Confronts the enormous task of filling that void now that she is leaving the WNBA. Indeed, the league does include other gifted players like Angel Reed and DJ Carrington. However, they lack the ST power and allure that Clark contributed to the game, let's face it. And that's not to minimize their skills. Although they are both exceptional athletes, Caitlin Clark was performing at an entirely different level. She was more than a mere athlete. She was a force that attracted people outside of the WNBA. She drew them in. Fans didn't watch WNBA games for the league. Instead, they watched Caitlin Clark play with her departure because of her brave shooting skill to dominate games and her fierce, competitive spirit. The extent of the Caitlin Clark effect is only now becoming apparent to the WNBA. Losing Clark would result in millions of dollars in lost ticket sales and merchandise. TV sponsorships and deals. The worst aspect is that it was completely avoidable. The league had every opportunity to provide Caitlin the support she deserved as the league's spokesperson and to make her feel appreciated in order to keep her safe on the court. However, they didn't.
Draft day viewership, which is up 400% to 40%. Between ticket sales, which is up 93% to 16%. Between regular game viewership, which is up 180% to 20%. What Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5.
Let problems fester. They will now have to bear the consequences. The WNBA's future may suffer greatly as a result of Caitlin's exit, which marks a sea change. They will soon discover how much they have lost. So, what exactly has Caitlin Clark been offered in Europe? Anyone would be stopped in their tracks by the startling numbers being floated. According to a number of sources, the contract she has been offered is significantly more than anything the WNBA has ever offered in the EuroLeague, where players are treated like royalty. Caitlin is receiving a once-in-a-lifetime chance. She will have the advantage of playing less games, which will free up more time for her to relax, recuperate, and play at her best, in addition to earning a lot more money. The choice to relocate abroad was essentially made for you.
Would be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the big.
Caitlin is receiving more than just a contract offer from Europe. She has the opportunity to represent the league as a whole. Imagine this. Walking out onto the court is Caitlin. As the lights go down, thousands of supporters burst into thunderous applause. You can feel the energy in such crowded arenas. As she takes a deep three, the stadium echoes with every shout from the audience. However, things are different this time. These supporters are there for more than just a basketball game. They're supporting her. The EuroLeague is aware of this and is ready to use her as the face of their company, treating her like the international celebrity that she is.
How's it feel? Do you care?
It's not only about Europe giving Caitlin a new platform to rule. It aims to establish her as the world's largest basketball star, with arenas brimming with loyal followers who admire and applaud her every action. Caitlin Clark is undoubtedly on the verge of entering a new era of stardom. It's her time. Furthermore, Europe is prepared to ensure that she shines brighter than ever. However, Caitlin isn't the only one taking significant action. In search of greater possibilities abroad, other WNBA players are beginning to go the same route. For instance, it has been claimed that Caitlin is going to Europe, while Kelsey Mitchell and Alyssa Smith have chosen to play in China over their offseason. As more WNBA players come to understand that playing abroad not only offers far higher compensation but also better treatment overall, this trend is quickly expanding. In terms of compensation and experience quality, the WNBA's pay scale just cannot match what other international leagues are providing.
All of this comes together and you need a star. And she is the star.
Gamers like Caitlin, Kelsey, and Alyssa are benefiting from playing fewer games, getting more sleep, and making more money. When you consider the schedule, pay, and player care provided abroad, playing internationally becomes practically a no-brainer. It's simple to see why more sportsmen are going down this route. As all of this is happening, Jason Whitlock thinks Caitlin ought to lead an unmatched legal league in which the top players face off against one another outside of the WNBA. As a result, athletes like Alyssa Smith and Kelsey Mitchell would no longer have to fly overseas in order to get paid. Instead, they may earn a living in America thanks to a league that is unmatched in talent. Players will have more opportunities as a result, and they can capitalize on this surge in quality. We have some amazing prospects emerging in the women's game. They will not, however, be paid what they are due. Rather, they will need to rely on sponsorships to make their money. However, Caitlin Clark and the WNBA are given a completely new perspective by this unmatched league concept. This change ought to be a huge wake-up call for women's basketball. In addition to Caitlin Clark, the league faces a significant risk of losing other elite players. The WNBA may experience a mass exodus of talent if they don't take action and reconsider how they pay and handle its players. It is obvious that players can no longer accept fewer victories. If the WNBA wishes to prevent an even greater talent drain in the future, international leagues are prepared to give them far more. They must quickly get Molly and reevaluate their priorities. Really, Molly, I said. Whoa. The WNBA didn't seem to try very hard to retain Caitlin Clark, which is possibly the most unexpected aspect of the whole scenario. There was no extravagant gesture or huge offer to show how much she was worth to the league. They basically let her leave without a fight, which is a perplexing decision. For a league that has been putting a lot of effort into expanding its fan base and competing on a bigger scale, the WNBA let Clark to slip through their fingers despite having the potential to be the biggest star in American sports at once in a generation of brilliance. For the league, losing someone like Caitlin is a grave error. Please subscribe and leave a like if you liked it. There are now more videos displayed.